I didn't fight my way through a battalion of parademons to be told to calm down!
And they say I got a temper.
You have me at a loss, Mr.
My name is Orion. I fled from the fire pits of Apocalypse to warn you. He's coming.
Who is?
Darkseid.
Hello everyone, thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my most favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. You can follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. I also, in the description below, have a link to the DC fan page with the Orion section here. So you can get I cannot speak today. Familiarize yourself with some of these characters if they're sort of unknown to you. Today we're going to be looking at Orion number 13 from 2001. It is written, and the cover is also by the great Walter Simonson. So he is the writer. However, he does not do the insides. So we are going to have John Byrne do a couple issues here for Simonson. So John Byrne and Terry Austin, the same team that did the Dark Phoenix saga for Marvel, will be the art team. And then John Workman, of course, does his exquisite lettering. One of my favorite letterers is John Workman. What the heck? Not one of my favorite letterer. There's three great letterers. He is my favorite, followed by Tom Orzechowski, and then Kevin Kline is the next one. So what we have here is we're in Arlington, Virginia, in the Pentagon, and we're showing. It says here the skies were clear a moment ago, but now it looks like it wind, so sort of like a tornadic thing here. So, and here you can see the credits. And of course, here's the Pentagon. So, and then of course, I have a playlist so you can catch up. I have every issue from Orion number 1 all the way to current. So, if you've missed anything, you can go in there and take a look at them. I am a big fan of Walter Simonson, so I'm covering his Orion run. He only did 25 issues, and I will be covering all 25 issues. So, and Orion has learned the anti-life equation. So Orion says that he's going to bring order to the chaos of the Earth, and wants Captain Marvel. By the way, his name is not Shazam; it is Captain Marvel. Although I do think they have finally changed his name to Shazam, but during this time it was Captain Marvel, and I still refer to him as Captain Marvel. So he's to gather all the heroes. And there's something going on because now he's like, yes, sir, kind of like all obedient to him. He's going to make a special announcement. So here we're learning that Orion is able to do a little mind control. Each mind here, like it says here, each mind possesses a tiny fragment of the anti-life equation. And of course, Orion is now the master of the anti-life equation. So it almost looks as if Orion has conquered the Earth. He shows up here, and look at that. Everyone's like, sir, sir. And so Orion says, direct me to your nexus, communications nexus. And they tell him. So, and he's like, oh, don't give it another thought. And he's like, okay. So he's got control over people. Of course, this person says, you're not supposed to be. And he says, I require your assistance. Important announcement to the people of the Earth. And of course, oh, right away, right here. So he's going to broadcast a message around the world at noon precisely. But funny thing is, noon where? Noon Eastern, noon, but He tells them to cut into everything. If it can send a message, they want it to send his. And of course, you can see his eyes. So this is not, the Orion we have seen from the very beginning. So Captain Marvel has gone to the JLA's headquarters and informs them that everyone needs to tune in at noon to hear a message. It'll be the most important message ever. And of course, Plastic Man's like, hey, we can still catch the end of The Simpsons. Which of course is Simpsons on Sunday nights, but whatever. Maybe it's in syndication early on somewhere. And we are now in the Promethean galaxy, and this giant has broken free after thousands of years. His name is Gederath, and he's been summoned. And so he walks in space toward whatever is. And so at noon he gathers in and says, I bring you peace and goodwill. If you hear my voice, love each other. And you can see they were fighting here. Do no harm. And then he, of course, sees her and jumps in, kills himself so that he won't kill them. Lay down your weapons. And these boxers suddenly now, it ends in a tie and everyone's happy. And then repeats here, do no harm. And then they blow themselves up. So he's using the anti-life equation to control people. So of course, and help each other. So the JLA are gonna go do that. So, and it's funny because they've always been able to do that, but they're always fighting, people. So, but it would probably be a very boring comic book if you read about, Superman's adventures, doing two goodies. After all, we have to, we got kids aren't going to read comic books if all our heroes do every day is just, help the way that the JLA went to help. But I digress. So here, Big Barda sees this and calls Scott Free, who is Mr. Miracle, and he says, hey, is that Orion? So, and Orion knows that he's controlling them, so he says here that, it's some good will come out of the anti-life equation. So Meteoris here saying that her plans are bearing fruit. And of course, if you've been following from the beginning, you know that Light Ray is under her command. And she wants Orion dead. But, she doesn't have the resources yet. And thinks that perhaps Light Ray can be used to summon him. So the alarm had gone and something was happening near or this kind of took place a little bit before. So she gets the alarm that something was going near the palace. And of course she sees Captain Marvel and Orion. She sees that they're heading to Earth. So she wonders if he's searching for the anti-life equation. And she's like, well, that should only be for Darkseid. So she sends Light Ray to gather warriors because Orion has left Apocalypse without protection. So it's her chance now. Now everybody's here is death to Orion. So, and of course she's like, whatever purpose he has on Earth doesn't matter. He's never leaving again. So everybody's heading to Earth. And of course, on Earth, everybody's happy because he has achieved peace. And if you, again, look at his eyes, you can see that something's up. So, and he, of course, says, at last I am fulfilled. And so, in Apocalypse now, here is Metron with his Mobius chair. He heard the alarms of the Trumpet of Doom, but of course he finds that it's all quiet. So he goes down below and deduces that Orion has somehow controlled the anti-life equation, and he tries to listen to where the trumpets came from, and he sees the Gardens of Hope, and then of course realizes that is where Darkseid is. And of course, if you remember to the previous video, you would have already had known that. So Darkseid is the one that brought Metron to this place, and Metron asked him why he's looking at Orion, if he's following his progress, because he was able to get the anti-life equation. And Darkseid says, "Son," and Metron says, "Oh, you can't fool me. I know you are his dad, and that Tigra lied basically to try to kill him." And so Darkseid said he's not here to try to progress Orion. He's that giant Gederath is who he's been monitoring, and here he is. If you remember in the past issues, that Darkseid had implanted a machine, a weapon, per se, on this, and he's here to destroy Orion. And look how big he is, so he could destroy the Earth with just crushing it. So, and he has to kill Orion so that the universe must live. And so now we get a backup feature. So this backup is written and penciled by Simonson and inked by Bob Wyacek, or Wyacek. I really don't know how to pronounce his last name. But these soldiers from Apocalypse are playing a game of some sort. It's kind of like cards. They call it Darkseid's Wrath. Anyway, they see this gate, per se. It looks some kind of says here subspace frequency. So nobody else kind of knew what to do, so they just went back to playing the game. But then the alarms went off, and so they decided to go see. And you can see they discard the game, and they see all the parademons and Mortala. So, and of course Lightray. This is of course where that little section where everybody's going to go into New Genesis. So they're saying, it's about time that we invaded New Genesis. So they're happy with that. So, and they say, of course, it's about time. So it's a short little story, kind of to fill it up. And as you can see, Simonson wrote and penciled it, and the inks by Wyacek, and of course the letters by the great workman. So now we're going to do number 14, also from 2001, and great cover. You can see that this creature is about to crush the Earth. The gravity would be just being that close would be enough to set things bad. So all right, so as just like before, John Byrne and Terry Austin are your art team with Simonson writing. So Mortala is basically saying, hey, we gotta attack New Genesis because they're trying to kill our new lord Orion. So, and this prepares the soldiers to go and invade, and there they go. Great two-panel splash here. And so, getting the fire pits ready. And it looks like this is a big boom tube here. So, now we're back on Earth in Orion. The people are telling him how grateful they are for Orion having brought peace on Earth, when suddenly he's pinged by Father Box. And he says that there's hundreds of phasing signals honing on him, so he's going to go and deal with this. So Orion goes from Washington, D.C. to the Himalayas, and here comes all the New Genesis, New Gods, and Lightray says, Orion, you have brought shame, and the memory of High Father and all that, and he says, Lightray, you know that isn't true, how could you say that? And Lightray is like, the neuralizer made me Meteora's puppet, so I must speak as she directs. I don't believe any of it myself. That's just funny. And she's like, what? So, of course, she fires on Orion, but misses. But then, of course, another boom tube. An apocalypse has entered Earth orbit, because this is the moon here. Great. I like it. I like this panel, or this composition. Just how the scope of it is pretty big. Meteora, of course, says he brought Earth to an apocalypse. I told you, it's war. And so it says everybody kill him. Everybody points their weapons. But he, of course, orders them to stop and don't move, which, of course, they do. Tells them that the power of the anti-life equation is his, and he can pretty much tell them what to do. And now Mortala has arrived to go save him. But he says he's harder to kill than he thinks, and gives her a big kiss. So he's going to settle the accounts and tells Meteora to step forward. So basically he asks her why does she want to kill him, because he doesn't recognize her. She doesn't want to tell him, you can see here. And he says, I can't hear you. And she says she's Justine, Desaad's second in command. And this was the plan all along, to infiltrate New Genesis. And she's also the one that arranged Orion's mother's death, Tigra. So he grabs her by the neck, but then lets her go, and says she's lucky he's not Darkseid, because Darkseid was not fond of those who showed initiative. So, and she says she was in love with Darkseid, and so she swore to avenge him. So, suddenly there's that little theep theep, and Mortala says that that giant is coming from those trumpets of doom. Real quick, I really do enjoy this helmet. It looks pretty cool. Orion commands the New Gods to go help people, and for Mortala, Lightray, and Justine to go with him. That they're gonna see what they can do against the giant here. So they boom through. Orion says that he needs to remember that Mortala couldn't speak until he gave her permission. So he has to remember that. And then they asked here, what are the trumpets of doom? He says he doesn't really know, but he remembers that Darkseid and Desaad spoke to them when they thought they were alone when he was a child. And they wonder, or Lightray asks, where are the stars? Of course you can see the stars here, but then not here. And he goes, oh, they've been blotted out. And then he notices behind, and of course there is that giant who's about to squash the earth. The Darkseid's ultimate weapon. So is this here that they need to act. Now keep in mind, how are they going to act? I love comic books, in the sense that the language of comic books, look how big they are compared to the Earth. So technically, they have to be really far away, closer to us. So, and technically, this giant shouldn't be able to fit on the page, but like I said, it's comic books. So, Orion uses the anti-life equation a couple of times until he seems to get control of the creature, and he says, "Who is he?" Who asks him who he is. He says, "I'm Gedarath, I would imagine." He said he tried to one time become one with the source wall, but he failed, and he was changed in the Shadow Remnant. But then he says eons ago they implanted a device within his skull, and when the signal arrived, his shackles exploded and he was released to destroy Earth. So he tells Light Ray to retrieve the device, which he does, and he says, "Does this remind you of anyone?" And Justine says it resembles Desaad's work, to which Orion replies, "My thoughts exactly." He tells Justine that although he wishes to kill her, he will not, but for her crimes she will be banished from the realm of the new gods and will go to Gedarath's hands to remain. And if it pleases him, he will release and send word, but otherwise her exile will be eternal. And then he tells Gedarath that the same thing, uses the anti-life and says, do no harm, be good to each other, live in peace. And so tells him to go, and he obeys. And of course, he figures out that Darkseid is alive because the creature was sent to destroy him, directed by someone not under the sway of the anti-life equation. And Desaad is dead, therefore Darkseid is alive. So we're gonna have another fight, and of course, then here is our credits. So we now get a short story again, or rather a continuation of the story. This time of Darkseid. This is also written just like last issue, written and penciled by Simonson with inks by Wyashek. And so Darkseid reveals that his plan was so that Orion would rule Apocalypse, but that it would stain his soul and make him more like Darkseid. But of course, that's not what happened, because Orion is a noble warrior, and that then together they would have the equation and rule the galaxy together. Which is kind of hard to believe because Darkseid doesn't like to share. So he tells Metron to quit being, because Metron is always like, I don't know, arrogant. So they're going to get out. So Darkseid turns this beautiful garden into an industrial cesspool, which of course she can fix because she's in control. And so they're basically done, and they're going to head back to Apocalypse where the new gods have arrived. And so they created a black racer again, but this black racer only answers to Darkseid. So it's gonna be pretty cool. So that'll end our 2 issues here. So thanks for listening. Like and subscribe.